In this video, I'm going to show you exactly which Blocktails achievements are the most brutal to obtain, reveal the secret shortcuts that make difficult badges actually manageable, and expose which achievements give you the coolest rewards that most players never even know exist. But first, let me tell you about the achievement that made me want to quit Blocktails forever. I'm talking about spending 20 hours trying to get one single badge, only to discover there was a trick that could have saved me 19 hours and 50 minutes. Stay tuned because I'll show you exactly how to avoid my painful mistake. The Beginner Trap, F and D tier achievements. Blocktails has what you might call the Participation Trophy tier. These achievements look intimidating with names like A Price to Pay and Disgusting Mistake, but they're actually incredibly easy to obtain just by playing the game normally. Humble Beginnings sits at the very bottom of F tier because literally all you do is create a game file. If you want to play Blocktails, you're forced to get this achievement. VIP is also F tier, and here's why it's actually kinda cool. You just walk to the Roblox HQ area and boom, achievement unlocked. But the cool part is you get to see tons of familiar faces from other games. It's like a little Easter egg hunt that takes maybe 5 minutes tops. Now let's talk about the D tier achievements that look scary but are actually super easy. A Price to Pay, you have to fight Terry and he has 1 million health. But here's the thing, you're not supposed to win. You just have to start the fight, and that's it. Pretty Fire and Pretty Cool are both about finding secret areas. The Fire Ant Cave and Penguin Hideout sound hard to discover, but once you know where they are, you can get both achievements in under 10 minutes. Disgusting Mistake has the most misleading name ever. You just need to eat an item called Mistake that deals 200 damage and kills you instantly. Sounds brutal, but you can get this item easily from the Ghost Chef. Garlic is probably the funniest D tier achievement. You literally just buy garlic for 25 ticks and use it on a vampire. The crazy part about all these achievements is that they give you bragging rights without any real challenge. The Patience Test, C and B tier achievements. These achievements don't require you to be amazing at Blocktails. They just require you to not give up. Bombastic requires you to kill 4 enemies at once with a bomb. This might seem difficult at first, but there's a simple solution. The ant armies in the caves have exactly 2 health, and the bomb deals exactly 2 damage, making this achievement much more manageable than it appears. Baller is basically the same idea, but with the line bounce card instead of a bomb. To get this achievement, you need to hit 4 enemies in a row. The Item Initiate achievement wants you to collect 50 items, and with 135 total items in the game, this is actually pretty manageable. You don't even need to keep the items, you just need to discover them. Obsession sounds absolutely horrible. Get 200 of the same item. But here's the secret, you can just buy 200 apple cores or apple juices that cost 1 tick each. It's boring, but it only costs 200 ticks total and takes about 10 minutes of clicking. Noisemaker is probably the most tedious achievement in this tier. You need to get all the sounds on the Megaphone at the beginning of the dream world, and you can't leave the area until you're done. It's just clicking E over and over again until you've heard every possible sound. Now let's talk about the All the Bucks achievements. You need to collect 10, 20, 30, and 40 bucks, depending on which achievement you're going for. These little collectibles are hidden behind walls and in secret rooms, which sounds impossible to find. But here's the game changer. There's a card called I Spy that tells you when you're near bucks. You still need to progress through the game to reach different areas, but finding the actual bucks becomes way easier. The Item Novice achievement used to be absolutely brutal before Demo 4. You needed 100 items when there were only 103 total in the game. If you bought everything and sold it, you'd only have about 97 items. Those last 3 had to come from grinding enemies with terrible drop rates. But Demo 4 added 32 new items, making this achievement much more reasonable. Savior requires you to save a teammate when they're about to die, which sounds really hard in normal gameplay because everyone's trying to stay alive, but there's a trick that makes this achievement manageable. You can get an alt account, turn on hard mode, let them almost die, then heal them with a cheap item like a cheeseburger. The setup and coordination needed puts this above the simpler grinding achievements. Good Noodle is where Blocktails tests your minigame skills. You need to score 91 or higher in the Jeep minigame. While this requires good reaction time and hand-eye coordination, it's more about practice and patience than the advanced combat strategies needed for higher tiers. All these achievements taught me that Blocktails rewards patience and smart planning more than raw skill. They're not about being the best player. They're about being persistent and finding efficient strategies. Where skills matter, A-tier achievements. These achievements separate casual players from dedicated ones, and they require actual skill, strategy, and game knowledge to complete. True DPS requires you to deal 12 damage to one enemy in a single attack. This might seem impossible when you're typically hitting enemies for 3 or 4 damage. In order to achieve this, you'll need to learn about damage stacking. You can use cards like Aggressor for +1 damage, combine it with the +2 damage First Strike buff from hitting enemies with certain attacks, and add items like Apple Pie for even more damage. Suddenly, 12 damage becomes achievable, but it requires you to understand the game's combat system deeply. Blocker requires you to beat all the Demo 1 bosses while taking double damage and having a smaller guard window. The Supreme Ant, Banished Knight, Spike Killbot, Sentient Statue, and Cruel King all become genuinely threatening. You need to learn their attack patterns and time your blocks perfectly. The all-card achievements are where the real grind begins. You need to collect 60 different cards out of 73 total, and some of these cards cost over 100 ticks each. We're talking about 4,000 plus ticks to buy everything in shops. The alternative is farming enemies for card drops. This achievement is all about tick management and deciding which cards are worth the investment. Redemption means beating Demo 3, which is where the difficulty really ramps up. The Dream World bosses like Fear and Hatred are no joke. Fear has moves that are incredibly hard to dodge, and Hatred inflicts confusion every few seconds with his Corrupt Synergy attack. You need to master the combat system and come prepared with the right items and strategies. Heat Resistant is about beating Demo 4, which introduces AoE attacks that punish parties of 3 or more players. Every boss has at least one area of effect move that can wreck your whole team if you're not careful. These achievements taught me that Block Tales has real depth to its combat system. They're not just about grinding, they're about mastering the game's mechanics and proving you can handle whatever the developers throw at you. The ultimate challenges, S-tier achievements. King of the Sea is the achievement that might make you want to quit Block Tales forever. You need to catch all 10 fish, which sounds simple until you learn the horrible truth about the drop rates. The first few fish are pretty common, but then you get to the shark with a 1% chance and the whale with a 0.25% chance. Each worm costs 10 ticks, and you might use hundreds of them trying to get these rare fish. In order to complete this achievement, you'll need to spend entire days at the fishing spot burning through your tick savings just to get 2 fish. The worst part is that it's pure RNG. You could get lucky and catch the whale on your first try, or you could spend 20 hours and still not have it. Is this a joke? You need to die to a purple frog, which sounds easy until you realize that purple frogs only have one move. They run away. The only way to die to one is if it spawns holding a bomb, which happens 4.8% of the time. And sometimes the frog will run away while holding the bomb, making it impossible to get hit. Alternative Reality introduces you to the Supreme Mosquito, a boss that deserves S-tier placement. She has 60 health and 3 devastating moves. The Mosquito Swarm summons enemies with 3 HP each. Her double stab deals 8 damage per hit and can pierce defense, and her lifesteal stab deals 8 damage, poisons you, and heals her. You need to come prepared with lots of healing items and a perfect strategy, as her lifesteal ability makes this fight incredibly punishing for any mistakes. Monster Hunter is where hard mode becomes truly brutal. You need to beat all 6 Demo 3 bosses on hard mode, and these fights are no joke. Some bosses can deal 20 plus damage to your entire party with a single move. Blood Red Sky. Hard mode makes their already dangerous AoE attacks absolutely lethal. The timing windows are smaller, the damage is higher. You'll need strategies like the Hummus item for plus 20 health just to survive some of these encounters. Emerging timelines. You need to defeat McCool, a scrapped Demo 7 boss that was moved to Demo 4 as a super boss. This guy has massive damage output. His bat swing deals 10 damage per hit and can hit twice. His baseball throw deals 20 damage plus confusion, and he summons enemies that can heal him for 10 HP or deal 20 damage to you. The only reliable strategy is using Firebrand twice to clear his summons, but that requires 4 sword energy and perfect timing. What makes these S-tier achievements so brutal isn't just their difficulty, it's the combination of skill, RNG, and time investment required. You need to be good at the game and get lucky, and be willing to spend dozens of hours grinding. They're achievements that prove you've mastered every aspect of Blocktails. Difficulty isn't always about skill. Sometimes the hardest achievements are hard because of bad RNG, tedious grinding, or obscure requirements. The easiest achievements often give you the most satisfaction because they reward exploration and creativity. King of the Sea is hard because of terrible drop rates, not because it requires skill. Is This a Joke is hard because of multiple layers of RNG, not because it's a challenging fight. Meanwhile, achievements like Blocker and Monster Hunter are genuinely difficult but feel fair. They test your mastery of the game's systems and reward you for improving your skills. Even when they're frustrating, you know that getting better at the game will eventually lead to success. Alternative reality shows how a single boss can elevate an achievement to S tier. The Supreme Mosquito's lifesteal ability and defense-piercing attacks create a level of pressure that demands perfect execution. The real secret to Blocktails achievements is understanding what type of challenge each one presents. Some need patience, some need skill, some need luck, and some need all three. Once you know what you're up against, you can prepare accordingly and avoid common mistakes that cost players dozens of hours. The thing is, knowing which achievements are hard is useless unless you know the secret strategies that make them actually possible. There are 3 specific tricks that can turn S-tier nightmares into manageable challenges, and one method that works for almost every achievement in the game.